has a scapular and a little clavicular attachment. So trapezius, upper trapezius, coming from the occiput. Trapezius comes down. It will insert a little bit in clavicle, a little bit in the scapulae, middle trapezius, and then it comes down into the thorax. All things that we have done, correct? You can grab, put your head up. This is traps right there, trapezius. Okay, nice, big, solid muscle. So again, coming from the occiput, out the scapulae, a little bit of the clavicle, come down, and through the thorax, trapezius. When you read it up in the trail guide, all these structures now make sense where it touches. Fair enough? Next. All right, serratus anterior, this is a funky muscle, and I'm going to use Herman on this one, okay? So, serratus anterior is actually going to start on the ribs in a serrated pattern. It's going to go underneath the scapula and insert on the medial border. Okay, it's a really weird muscle. But think what this muscle does then. So if this is the origin, the fixed. This is the insertion, the movable. When this muscle contracts, what's it going to do to that medial border? Going to keep it flat to the thorax. Agreed? If this serratus muscle is weak, you get carissa. Show us. Boink. Right? So this muscle should be here, and it should be holding that medial border of the scapula flush against the thorax. So you'll hear about serratus punches and serratus hugs. Over time, I was trying to keep that serratus anterior tight so that scapula rests where it should be, so those 18 muscles of the marionette don't get pulled in every direction. All right? So she's actually a great model for this. Most people, we can't actually palpate serratus anterior. But because we're doing the greatest showman here, we can do it. So basically, we're right here, right? Right here. So this would be the insertion of serratus anterior. It travels underneath through the ribs, arm up, over your head, model style, and it's right there. So it actually starts here on the outer ribs, underneath the scapula, and inserts into the medial border. Does that make sense? So it has a sort of weird trace. So that's serratus anterior. So probably for our purposes, we'll be able to palpate the origin here on the lateral ribs, maybe palpate the insertion. We really won't be able to get the entire length of the muscle because it's underneath the scapula. Fair enough? That's serratus anterior. It's a funky muscle that has a very, very important function. What? Latissimus dorsi. Unbelievable muscle. Huge origin. It starts way down here in that thoracolumbar aponeurosis. It forms a gigantic sail and then itty bitty little insertion. Okay? It's amazing. Look at the picture. So it has this huge origin. It's going to actually taper. It's going to relax, come through the axilla and insert into the humerus. Okay, so it starts posterior and crosses into through the axilla. That makes sense? So big origin, going to come up and insert into the humerus. We didn't really do humerus, so I'm not going to talk about the insertion quite yet. All right? But we did the origin. Everyone at latissimus dorsi? Please do not call them traps or lats. That's lazy. It's latissimus dorsi. It's trapezius. Okay? Traps and lats is for gym rats. We're medical professionals. Call what they are. Next. Rhomboids. Real easy. Rhomboids, medial border to the spinous process. Right? Shink, shink. So you have major on the bottom, and then what do you have on top? Minor. Major. Minor. All you're doing is connecting the medial border to the spinous process, as we've already done there.
Forms a brick.
Right? Speed your shoulder blades. Most people have some muscle there. Okay, good. Relax. Pectoralis minor. We will do supine for this one. So grab around.
Oh, coming.
As the camera moves.
You might have to raise me up a bit.
Okay.
You.
It's magic. All right. Pectoralis minor. We all know pectoralis major coming this way. Pectoralis minor actually runs at an oblique angle. It will be underneath breast tissue. So if you are palpating a female, you probably will not be able to palpate the origin. That's fine, okay? It's going to be basically right in this angle up to the coracoid process, okay? So for all intents and purposes, the way I kind of want to find it is there's her axillary line, there's her acromion, so I'm going to be kind of right in there. There's her coracoid process.
There it is.
I got it, all right? So if you actually put one finger on a coracoid process and kind of put your hand in this direction, that's sort of the angle of pectoralis minor. Does that make sense? That way you don't have to try to lay it on the breast tissue itself, all right? Gentlemen, it's going to be much easier. The issue with pectoralis minor, it is a highly overlooked muscle for tightness. Now let's think about this fourth dimensionally, if we will. It originates on the anterior thorax, agreed? It inserts into the coracoid process of the scapula. If this muscle is really tight, it's going to pull the coracoid. What's that going to do to your scapula? Pull your scapula forward and up.
And pain.
And what position am I in right here? I'm in a rounded shoulder position. If I'm an overhead athlete, is this where I want my scapulae? I want my scapulae back and open, right? So if this is very tight, it's going to pull that scapula around it. I can't open up. I can't throw. So you really, and you will sometimes see people who are actually, when they lie like this, their shoulders actually lifted off the table. Highly overlooked muscle for anterior tightness, okay? So if you ever want to just come in here, take the butt of your hand and just push down on the coracoid, and it'll actually stretch that pectoralis minor. It feels like a gazillion dollars, and that's a real amount of money. If you really want to put like a towel or a foam roll underneath their spine so they're really elevated up and then drop down on them, first of all, I'd probably manipulate their entire spine. Their whole spine will probably go off like a firecracker, which feels great anyways. But it gives you just that little bit of extra distance to really try to stretch that pectoralis minor. Rule of thumb, we have to stretch what's tight before we strengthen what's weak. Otherwise, you're strengthening in a shortened position. That's really not helping you. So we want to stretch them to open up their anterior, and then we can worry about strengthening the posterior. But hugely overlooked muscle for tightness. And you know it is when you're studying, you're typing, and you start really getting this pain right here, and you try to sit up straight, you're like, oh, God, I can't do it. That's pectoralis minor. Trust me on this one, all right? You can also do a foam roll where you actually lie on pectoralis minor and foam roll, or take a...
Nope.
Doesn't feel good.
It sucks.
Your
Lacrosse ball much better.
discomfort is not my concern. Coracoid process, pectoralis minor. Good? What's next?
That's it.
That's it? All right, so we have trapezius,